bear with me. I got a pair of equations here, and what we're talking about here is the fundamental physics of how technical debt occurs. Can somebody help me out with this notation? Want to talk me through this? Any volunteers?
The sum of the change minus quality control
Yeah, so go ahead.
minus the sum of the number of defects that it takes, or the time it takes to diagnose and fix the sum of the number of defects.
So each change is, additional software. And I take, a certain amount of my effort, a certain amount of my ability to make progress, the time is going to be spent not writing code that runs in production, right? So that takes a little bit away from that, each one of those. And then you take away from that, like Paul said, so for every defect, I've got to take the time to figure out what was the root cause and do that bit, and then spend the time to come up with the appropriate fix. Okay, and so this second one? Anybody else want to talk me through this? Diego?
Well, every change its complexity. So basically, if you lower the quality control, you get more risk of defect. If you increase the quality control, then risk of defect is tend to be zero.
Yeah, this is as this gets bigger. Right. So what we see is, when we first get going, how complex is a system with no code in it? Right? So what's the risk of having defects when you first get started? Pretty low, right? I mean, we'll probably catch those because we're not monkeys on a keyboard. We'll do what we can to get the code working. So initially, what looks like this quality control really looks like a drag, right? Because we don't have any defects. There's no subtraction happening here. It's all coming out of here. So why would I do any quality control? Okay. Jim?
I think what we're trying to get at here is that quality control doesn't come free. It's something that you have to figure out, spend some time on, spend some resources on. That's why it's a drag in the first equation. But the more you do, the lesser your risk of defect, which is what the second equation is saying, right? All of the things that contribute to it.
Yeah.
Are we to refer to this as Ryan's Law now?
Oh, jeez. Anybody recognize this guy?
Wimpy.
J. Wellington Wimpy. Remember his famous line? Go ahead, yeah.
I'll gladly pay you next Tuesday for a hamburger today.
That looks like a tasty hamburger. But what's going to happen to our cuddly Wimpy when his credit runs out? Okay. So one way of looking at technical debt is borrowing against our ability to respond quickly tomorrow to make progress today. Okay. So we have two different parts to technical debt. Okay. So the debt itself, and this is the structural impediments to progress. And we understand, we heard a little bit about why, right? So unit test coverage and test coverage in general is about being able to make the required structural changes to our software. Right, so the system doesn't, the business doesn't just stagnate. We move on, but there's other opportunities. We're responding to market pressures and whatnot. So if our software can't keep up, it will lag behind. Okay, and then the other part are interest payments. So this is what we really experience, and this is what's causing that from what's in the system.